and you don't have a source of income, you may have to resort to that.
This is Border Battle with King and CJ with King.
You want to go get a hot dog at halftime? Well, guess what? You can also take the under in the second half of 25. You know what I mean?
And CJ.
You can win Super Bowls right now with me and Grandpa Brady over here. Let's do it that way.
Presented by the fine students and faculty of the Oklahoma State University School of Media and Strategic Communications in beautiful Paul Miller Building. Broadcast live on KXZY, OSU Student Radio. And now, live from Studio 318, it's Border Battle with Jordan the Great King and CJ the Viking Notch.
Welcome back into Studio 318. This is the Border Battle with King and CJ. I'm King, he's CJ. Listening on OSU Student Radio, KXZY, Suddenlink Channel 112, YouTube Live, Border Battle on Demand. If you're trying to keep up with us, Facebook.com/Border Battle Show or Border Battle OSU on Twitter. Chris, it's April 4th, Wednesday, April 4th. We are in the third, going on the third-ish month of the show here. April 4th, a very special day in my heart. I'll talk about that. Well, I'll give you it right now. One, happy birthday to my brother, my older brother, Ern. He is 20-something now, 26 or something. I don't know. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday to him. Also, April 4th is Frank Kaminsky's birthday. And back in 2015 on April 4th, I was down in Indianapolis, at Lucas Oil Stadium watching Frank Kaminsky and the Wisconsin Badgers knock off the 38-0 Kentucky Wildcats down in Indianapolis in the Final Four, and then a couple days later ended up losing to Duke. So, Chris, in this year's NCAA Final Four, we saw Michigan lose to Villanova, a pretty decent margin of victory. Villanova goes the entire tournament, beating every team by at least double digits. They win 79-62. We're going to hear from a couple of the players. The star of the show, Donte DiVincenzo, he goes off for 31 points. I believe that is a record for a guy coming off the bench. So let's see here. This is Donte DiVincenzo after his historic, really national championship performance.
Honestly, no. I did not think that I was going to have this kind of night because every night I come into the game, I just try to bring energy. And if we get off to a good start, I try to take that energy to a new level. I try to defend, and I try to rebound to the best of my ability and just trying to get it going. And like I said, these guys did a great job of just finding me, and I found myself in the rhythm.
So he talks about getting himself into a rhythm. He definitely got himself into a rhythm Monday night, Chris, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he did. But, I've said this before with you, that it was one of those things I personally feel we saw it coming. It was one of those, it was his final coming out party in a sense, because in the Final Four against Kansas, I think he had 17 or 18 points. So it's, he's here to stay, obviously, and I think he's showing, even Jay Wright in that sense of, what he's going to offer, next time around.
Yeah, so the National Player of the Year this year was Jalen Brunson. He talks about, here's Jalen Brunson after the game talking about the trust the team had in DiVincenzo.
This is very special. This is nothing surprising for us. We've seen Donte do this multiple times this year. But I'm just so thankful that he was able to have one of these nights tonight. It just shows you how much depth we have as a team and how we just don't care who gets the credit. If someone's hot, feed them, and just try and play off each other and just making sure that we're all playing together.
This is so impressive from Jalen Brunson, and I know he's a junior, but this is such a show of class and maturity after the game when you are the National Player of the Year. I don't know if they've announced it yet, but he's going to win the Naismith National Player of the Year. He's already been named the AP National Player of the Year, and he is third on his team in scoring. Not a great shooting night for him, defended well by Michigan, and he is the consummate leader, the consummate team player that you want leading your team. whereas his shot wasn't falling, but he's all right with Dante DiVincenzo, a sophomore, taking the spotlight. His fellow junior, McCall Bridges, he is fine taking the spotlight. And I think that really speaks volumes to the kind of leader he is, and it shows you what kind of team that Jay Wright has in Villanova.
Yeah, and I think even to add to Brunson's credit is the fact he only played 28 minutes. DiVincenzo played 37. You can't tell me, granted Brunson was struggling, but to show in that sense of, hey, you know what? DiVincenzo probably took some of his minutes, potentially. I don't know his average. I don't know if that's what he usually plays, about 28.
No, he doesn't.
For Brunson?
No, but he had four fouls.
And that was the next point I was going to say, is if he's in foul trouble. But, that just speaks to, again, what Jay Wright has done with this team and the mindset that these kids have on this team, these young gentlemen, that they're all in it as a team. It's not all about the stats and padding their own stat sheet. They're like, hey, we have a guy off the bench. He's hot. Let's feed it to him. And it has to start from the top down.
Dante DiVincenzo, just a sophomore we talked about, this was a veteran-laden team, but so was Michigan to a certain extent. I talked about this with you last night. We were on Last Call, Triple Play Sports Radio, a show that I normally produce Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. 8 to 10 p.m. You were on there with me last night, and we were kind of holding down the fort. We talked about this. Mo Wagner only shoots 11 times. We talked about Jalen Brunson. All his struggles, he goes 4 for 13, but he gets up 13 shots, still able to kind of get his teammates involved, not necessarily on an assist level, but a lot of that was Dante DiVincenzo just getting open and then making the plays, right?
Yeah, no. And like you said, we talked about that too, but it also showed too that we talked about this last night with Mo maybe not quite used to, he doesn't have maybe that instinct of like, okay, I need to take over, my team's struggling. You have to find different ways to contribute if your shots are not falling. And it seemed like, towards the middle of that game, when things were still falling for Mo, but if he wasn't getting the shot he was looking for, he almost became a shell of what he usually is. We talked too against Loyola. He had to dribble back a few times, and, he stepped back three-pointer over Krutwig, and he drains it, and that basically broke open the game at the end there and broke Loyola's back, so to speak. And, yeah, he just he didn't have it. And I don't know. You got to give Villanova credit for, I think, taking him out of his element, his funk. But if you are the go-to player for your team, they still rely on you. You still have to find a way to help produce somehow.
Yeah, and I get it. It's an emotional Final Four. That's what Final Fours are. They're emotional kind of roller coasters for all the teams. But Mo Wagner got way too wrapped up in it. He got way too wrapped up in it. He had 4 personal fouls. Now, again, the Loyola game's an outlier. He is more likely to have 4 fouls than he is to have 1 foul. And quite frankly, he did have 4 fouls against Loyola. They just didn't get called. So Mo Wagner got way too wrapped up in it. He got, like you said, got emotionally taken out of the game. And, here you're seeing, watching on YouTube or Suddenlink Channel 112, you're seeing the great play of Dante DiVincenzo. And you can't take anything away from him. But I think offensively, there was a lot missing from Michigan. If you're talking about Simpson not able to score, Xavier Simpson not able to score at a good enough clip to warrant being guarded heavily by Villanova. And then that in turn results in double and triple teams for Mo Wagner. So, but you got a point. 11 shots is not enough when you make 6 of them. When you're shooting over 50%, you got to get more shots up than 11. And Mo Wagner didn't do that, and I think he let his team down to a certain extent.
No, yeah, like you said with that. And I think, too, Michigan is such a team where, yes, you rely on your top, few guys, but they also rely on their other guys to at least contribute in some sense. Like Jordan Poole, he had a rough game. He was 1 for 5. He doesn't contribute a lot of points per se, but I mean, he was one that hit the buzzer beater against Houston. He hit some big shots. He did pretty well against Loyola. When you're not having some of these other role players, which will happen. They're role players for a reason. Sometimes, they go above and beyond like DiVincenzo did, and sometimes they're a little quiet, and again, maybe it's that big stage, they're young, some of these guys are younger. They're not used to the spotlight maybe, in that sense of being in the national championship game. But sometimes you have to kind of wonder too with Beeline at the half, what kind of changes was he trying to implement? Because if they were trying to, then the team either wasn't buying into it or Villanova was just doing that good to kind of
no, it wasn't the team not buying in. I don't think that's the case at all.
You think it was more just Nova was just
yes, and for
role.
a second, like I don't want you compare Jordan Poole. This is an unfair comparison. in my opinion, because you compared Jordan Poole to Dante DiVincenzo. You kind of were like those role players stepping up. Dante DiVincenzo averages twice as many points as Jordan Poole, and Jordan Poole only played 10 minutes. So, like, yes, you can say, like, Jordan Poole had an off night, 1 for 5. I understand that, but it's not like he gets the chances that DiVincenzo was getting. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, and I understand what you're getting at there, because DiVincenzo played like 29 minutes a game, at least in the regular season. So
well,
he minute wise, it was that.
And then in this game he plays 37 minutes. So there's a huge difference in minute share between Jordan Poole and Dante DiVincenzo. And then Duncan Robinson, if we're talking about players that went away and hid, I think Duncan Robinson you could also throw in that category, because he took 3 threes, didn't see any of them go in, and then that was it for him. He started getting frustrated. He finished the game with 3 fouls. He's a perimeter player. He shouldn't be in foul trouble, only getting 22 minutes, and he gets 3 fouls, totally taken out of his game because his shot isn't falling. And that's what you had to worry about if you're a little bit reliant on the 3. And for Duncan Robinson, he is totally reliant on the 3. And you miss a couple of them, well, all of a sudden for him, his head went down and he scores no points.
Yeah, and I think even to add to that, it's fair to say when you shoot as a team 3 for 23 from the 3-point range, like you said, if you kind of live by that, that's 13%. That's not going to help you at all. But again, it seemed like almost everyone on that Michigan team, as soon as shots weren't falling or they weren't getting the shots that they were trying to almost like picture they would get, they wouldn't shoot, or like you said, they went and hid like Duncan Robinson. Even Mo Wagner, just like it's like he just. Like I said, he like a shell of himself. And again, you got to give credit to Villanova. I think their defense, they matched up really well against Michigan. They handled Michigan's defense really well, because I know that was potentially a concern, because Michigan does play such, their defense was so good. And unfortunately, they just had a bad game.
Again, Michigan gets the early lead in this game, jumps out, still riding the momentum of a Final Four win against Loyola. They were not able to hit the reset button like Notre Dame was on the women's side. Notre Dame comes out hot, gets the early lead against Mississippi State, scores 3 points in the second quarter, find themselves down by a good chunk of points at halftime. They were able to hit the reset button, say, all right, let's calm down, back to square one. 0-0 here in the second half. Let's go out and dominate. Michigan wasn't able to do that. They just ran out of gas. So I think, and here's another thing. If men's game is broken down into quarters and not halves, is it a different scenario? I'm not really sure it is, but it's another break there where if you're Michigan and you're up after quarter 1 but down after quarter 2, you say, you know what? We dominated these guys for a fourth of this game. And I think if you can break it down into those little segments, it's easier to get your team to play a certain way. Now we got about 3 minutes left, a little bit under. I want to talk about Villanova's tournament as a whole. How great was this run? Is comparing it to just about any other tournament run in the history of college basketball, really.
No, yeah, it's definitely one that's way up there. Especially I believe is the 4th team to ever win every game of the tournament by double digits, which shows how rare that is. And we talked about this last night, and the more I thought about and sat on it, I agree. They're almost like this year's UConn team we talked about from the women's side.
From the women's side.
They just had this dominant factor, but it was such an under the radar thing like I talked about. And again, it goes to Jay Wright and the culture he's built with that team. And it's funny though that we said this last night, they would beat teams so badly in the tournament, but yet no one was ever talking about it.
Right. Exactly. Well, and again, I want to qualify this because I qualified it on last night's show. I don't want people to just think like this is exactly like if you go watch UConn women in the tournament. I'm not saying Villanova scores 90 points in the first half of games. What I'm saying is, was there a game that you watched in this tournament that at any point you said, oh man, Nova's going to lose this? I don't think there was a game that you could say that this year. Every game they were in control. Texas Tech got it close. But if you were watching that game, you knew Villanova had a stranglehold on it, and you really didn't feel like Texas Tech had much of a shot. And to the point that I tried to make was that's normally what we see on the women's side from UConn is even if they're not on the scoreboard dominating, which usually they are, they're dominating if you're watching. If the optics of the play is dominating, that's what Villanova did this year.
Yeah, and real quick, I'll just add my 2 cents is yes, they won maybe by 18, but they actually won by more than that even. That's like they're already a big score. They just were off the charts. it's worse than what it was.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Michigan, I understand, started throwing up some bad threes late in that game, but still a blowout for all intents and purposes in the national title game. Villanova, this team was as great as any I've seen in the past decade. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, save us, Shoei. Save America. That's what he's trying to do. He comes in, he's still making headlines. We'll talk MLB next on the Border Battle on KXEY. Get out of here, Shoei. Ohtani is absolutely wrecking the major leagues to start off his career, getting the cold shoulder from his teammates there. Welcome back into Studio 318. This is the Border Battle with King and CJ. I'm King, he's CJ, OSU Student Radio, KXEY, Southern Link Channel 112, YouTube Live, Border Battle on Demand, KXEY, Facebook.com/Border Battle Show is where you can learn about our KXEY show. Mike Trout goes 1 for 4 for the Angels last night. That's pedestrian in terms of what Shohei Ohtani can do. He goes 3 for 4. He also strikes out. We aren't going to worry about that. That doesn't matter. He hits a home run, drives in a couple, I believe 3 runs he drove in yesterday, and then scored a couple runs. Accounts for 5 runs for the Angels. People weren't even sure if this guy was going to make the opening day roster. And so far, he's like, I forget what he is now. I think that's something like 9 at-bats, and he's got like 5 hits and 9 at-bats or something like that. The guy is just ripping it up right now, and then he goes out and he first game he pitches, gives up like 6 hits, 3 runs, but gets the win. So he's 1-0. He's driven in accounted for 5 runs yesterday. He had a hit in his MLB debut, the first at-bat of his MLB career. You know, is this guy for real?
I don't know. Really, what I was gonna like, it's a great story so far, especially since he's playing, 2 positions. But I don't know. You also wonder, it is early. It's more of, halfway through the year, can he sustain it? I guess that's more of my concern. Can he sustain the grind that is the season? Again, I don't know, much about his career overseas, but I don't know. That's my concern. It's great to see, like, it's a good feel-good story right now to see that he's succeeding right away. Cause I know that was the biggest question is, could he do both positions? And I know it's still super early, but right now he's showing he can.
Yeah. So obviously these are early analysis for the MLB, and we'll obviously take that into account when you're talking about this. But I think so far so good for Shohei Ohtani. He's not going to be asked to play every day, and that's something that I think could keep him engaged, and it's certainly going to keep him fresh enough to do both positions when they need him to do it. And also, if he isn't playing, if he isn't a starting player, he can still come off and DH when you have to. And if he's a good enough hitter and can hit these spot home runs, that was his first at bat, I believe, that he hit the home run. If he can hit the spot home runs, then you're comfortable with him coming off the bench and trying to make those plays for your team.
Yeah, and as long as he, which I assume he has good head on his shoulders, a lot of it too is you wonder, okay, is he going to be okay with, let's say, if he doesn't always, start and stuff? In a sense, he's got to realize if you want to play two positions, you're not going to get to play as often as you want.
Well, no,
in that sense,
he's going to realize that. I don't think there's any way he goes, oh well, I want to play 6 days a week and pitch on the 7th. Like let's be realistic here. He's a human being, and he knows what's good for him, what's good for his body. This is 2018. We're so advanced in medicine and nutrition and everything about that, and rest and how crucial sleep is. People, clubs are so conscious about that. I think he's going to be fine with it. Now, if he starts to struggle in one area or the other, we'll see if one or the other gets taken away from him. Because I think you could see if he starts to struggle pitching, they're going to take his at-bats away first. Because I think when you're talking about an MLB club, what's more important to you in the long run? Having a dynamite pitcher or having a hitter that is going to hit 300, 1 out of every 3? You want the pitcher. You want a dominant pitcher. So I think they're going to, if it ever gets to where he's struggling at either, the pitching is going to be what he focuses on. I think that's what the Angels are going to do. But we really won't know until we see it in full. So I want to talk about my Brewers, Chris. I wouldn't necessarily call them my Brewers, but I'm from Wisconsin. They're the Milwaukee team. So they go back to walk it off against the St. Louis Cardinals last night. This was a big deal even early in the season because the St. Louis Cardinals have owned the Milwaukee Brewers in recent memory. So Dexter Fowler leads it off. First pitch of the game, Chase Anderson pitches the game, and Dexter Fowler goes deep. 2 pitches later, 3 pitches of Chase Anderson's night, and he gets taken deep twice. So Tommy Pham goes deep. It's a 2-0 lead for St. Louis. Here we go again, Milwaukee. It's over. They were down as much as 4-0 in this game, and they just slowly chipped away. Down to 2 outs in the 9th, Christian Yelich comes out, 2-2 pitch. He was down to his last strike, just about hits it off of the car up there in Miller Park, and then the very next pitch, Ryan Braun does something that Brewer fans are pretty used to him doing, is walking off in big moments. Now, if he could just be a little more consistent throughout the year, that would be nice.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't this his second walk-off this season already?
Braun, it's his second 9th inning home run with 2 outs.
Okay.
The other one was in San Diego, so you can't have a walk-off on the road, obviously. Okay. But, 3-run shot against the San Diego Padres to win that game.
Hey, good for your team. I know we were talking last night.
Ice in the veins. Either that or Big Chief seems to be insinuating some other thing in the veins for Ryan Braun. I think he'd be stupid to do that at this point in his career, by the way.
He's been caught twice, though.
But this is a big deal. This is a big deal for the Brewers, is it not?
For Ryan Braun?
No,
or
for
just
the Brewers.
Just as a total, to come back?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's good to start off. You want to show that your team's resilience. It's like we talked about with the baseball team here for OSU. As long as your pitcher can keep in, your bat's got to warm up. You got to keep chipping away. You got to keep, you got to try and build support for your pitcher. If, they struggle, like you said, you could have your star pitcher out there. They might have a struggle, but sometimes you got to pick them up. And the Brewers did good.
Between Lorenzo Cain, Christian Yelich, you can throw Braun in that category. All of the offensive firepower that this Milwaukee Brewers team now has at their disposal, they're going to have to use it all because this pitching staff, I don't think is very good. Chase Anderson, that's your stud. That's your opening day starter right there. Now, probably not your stud because Jimmy Nelson is out. He tore his rotator cuff diving back on This is why the DH should be in both leagues because why should teams have to be concerned about pitchers missing 3/4 of the following year because they dove back to a base on a pickoff attempt? I just think it's stupid, but we can have that conversation at another time. I think this was a huge win for the Milwaukee Brewers to hopefully, for their sake, get the Cardinals off their back, get that bug off their back, because the Cardinals have owned them. For all you can say about the Chicago Cubs, the Brewers have played relatively even with the Cubs over the past decade or so. in that game. Not saying like over the course of seasons, but in those games, the Brewers play the Cubs fairly evenly. It's been the Cardinals that have been the team that has always had the Brewers number, and I think this was a big win for the Milwaukee Brewers. Talk about your Minnesota Twins, Chris, a little bit. They're playing against the current leaders in the NL Central, I believe, still are the NL Central leaders, the Pittsburgh Pirates, who started off like a ball of fire. Everyone in Pittsburgh said the stadium was burning down when they traded Andrew McCutchen. He's sucked so far out in San Francisco. They were undefeated through the first 4 games of the season.
Yeah, and this is the first time they've been started the season undefeated, like 4-0 since like 2013. I think when the Pirates made the wild card. I think that's one of the stats I saw. Plus, they got rid of Garrett Cole as well. So they got rid of 2 of their maybe best players or top tier players, and they're 4-0. The Twins at 2-2, they're right where I would picture them right now. They're usually, it's pretty rare for the Twins to start out hot. They're always a team that like they get more consistent as the season goes. We saw it even last year. At some points they were kind of there, and then they just started, slowly chipping away at it. So it's just a matter of time, I think, before they get going. If anything, my concern is Lance Lynn pitching and some of these other new acquisitions. It's can they get the old bug off their back? Lance Lynn, he kind of struggled last year, and that was a big concern. Is could he,
Right.
He had his control was horrible in his last, outing. So, at 2-2, I'm okay with it. They're still tied for first. So
Yeah. I will ask you this though. I thought you might start tearing up seeing the snow on the field there, throw you back to your home days. I know that's up in Pittsburgh, but I thought maybe seeing the snow might bring a few tears to your eyes.
Maybe if I'm surprised not for you either, though. I mean, you're the snow person as well. Unfortunately, for us, baseball season used to always be, especially for you, it still is, always was indoors anyway. So if it snowed, you still have baseball. Now is where, Minnesota would actually have to potentially deal with it. The snow they're getting now, if we were actually, if the Twins were home, then you would deal with the whole, we might not have a game because of snow. Like, the Yankees home opener was snowed out,
Right.
was canceled because of snow.
Yeah, the Brewers have one of the, I don't know if they were the first, but one of the first like state of the art retractable roofs. As soon as they opened it, they held the All-Star game there, 2002. I remember that All-Star game in particular because Sammy Sosa, they have the panels in the back that they can open up or close. They had them open during the home run derby, and Sammy Sosa hit one out of Miller Park.
Out of it.
Out of Miller Park. It ended up like landing in the parking lot, bouncing away a little ways, and probably ending up on the freeway, honestly. So, I mean, that was I just remember that when they had that happen. But yeah, I mean, if you're the Twins, you kind of got to slow play it a little bit. You can't expect them to jump out of the gates. They're playing some hot teams right now. That division is not very good, other than like the Indians.
Yeah, and the Indians, I think, are 2-2 as well right now, or
Right.
2-3. So,
And I don't think they're gangbusters this year.
right? Yeah, they're kind of all in the middle. Which the Central has been like that for a little while. Really, it was back in like 08, 09 is when the Central was like everyone was throwing haymakers. Kind of like how the NL Central is now with like Pittsburgh and Milwaukee, St. Louis, even the Cubs. Really, the Reds are the only team that aren't really relevant a lot. So it's like they're always, grinding and throw it. But I want to quickly ask you, is there a team right now that, based on the record, kind of concerns you with where they're at? I know it's still early, but with what we saw the first week, is there a team that maybe, has a red flag?
Yes, there is. The Los Angeles Dodgers. I think you have to say, I know it's early. I think you have to say the Dodgers have concerns. Right now they're getting owned by the Arizona Diamondbacks. They did in the first 2 games of that series, and we'll see how they play tonight. This offense has not been good. It's not been good so far. They went off for like 2 games. I think they had really nice games, but you get shut out in the first game. So far, Clayton Kershaw has lost 2 games where he's given up like 1 or 2 runs. You cannot lose those games if you're the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw is one of the greatest pitchers we have seen in the last decade, and you're going to lose games where he gives up a run? This offense has to get going. There are bigger problems than just Kenley Jansen saying, I don't care, it doesn't matter. But again, that's worrisome. To have your closer's mentality kind of ruffled a little bit, and kind of, I don't know if it was just an ego hit for him or what he was trying to defend, but you have to be a little worried about that. But I think the bigger problem for the Dodgers is offense. This team should be scoring runs just about to the pace that the Cubs and the Nationals are. Now, the Cubs set an NL record for 58 strikeouts in the first 5 games. They're going to turn the corner. That team's going to strike out a lot. You have Baez. He's going to strike out or hit a home run. You have Schwarber. He's going to do his fair share of striking out. You have Rizzo. He's going to do his fair share of striking out as well. Now, I think Rizzo's a better 2-strike hitter than the rest of those guys, but he's still going to strike out.
And you're also missing Ian Happ. Since he hit the leadoff, he has had 10 strikeouts since then. So, I mean, he's right up there too. Like you said, they're going to hit the ball or strike out.
Exactly. So I think the Cubs are going to turn it around. They're going to score a bunch of runs this year. The Dodgers have to be on this offense should be. I don't say they have to. They should be on pace with like the Washington Nationals. They're going to score a ton of runs this year. Bryce Harper's already showing us that. The Astros are going to score a ton of runs this year. They scored 10 again last night, although Verlander does not get the win in that one because he gave up 4 and he got the no decision. Those are the teams the Dodgers have to look at, especially, you saw it in the World Series last year. Those are the teams the Dodgers have to compete with. And if you aren't going to be able to score the runs, it doesn't matter what Kershaw does on the hill. It doesn't matter what Rich Hill, if he throws a gem. If you can't score runs, you're going to struggle to win ball games. Mm-hmm. So I think you have to take into account all that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're talking the Masters, continue a little Masters breakdown. There's Lefty and Tiger Woods. Lefty had some interesting things to say. We'll hear from Tiger Woods and a few of his compadres on the other side. This is the Border Battle with KXCY.
Hi, I'm Gina Noble, and I'm the mayor of Stillwater, Oklahoma. Stillwater, Oklahoma is anything but still. We are a vibrant community, and we are conveniently located near Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and Wichita, Kansas. We're the home of the Oklahoma State Cowboys, and we serve as the cultural, economic, and athletic hub for North Central Oklahoma. In fact, several Quality of Life magazines have recognized Stillwater as one of the nation's 100 top places to live and one of the best places to golf. Established in the land run in 1889, Stillwater is a safe, vibrant community. It boasts a great educational system from K through 12, all the way up to our world-class university, Oklahoma State University. We have an exceptional downtown with a strong entrepreneurial spirit, numerous city parks and trails, and our medical resources are second to none. Stillwater is a wonderful place to begin your career, to start a business, to raise a family, or to retire. We invite you to visit Stillwater because we are anything but still.
Think you're not involved in your community? Think again. Spending your money with local businesses is more than an economic choice. It's a way you can have a say in the look and feel of your hometown. This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Tiger's earned the attention. He's after guys like Arnie and Jack, them setting the stage, and the Tiger have and kind of change the game and take it to a whole new level. Like I said, with having guys before him that kind of set the stage for him to do that. And he's been the biggest needle mover in the game, and it's going to be tough for anyone to come close to that.
There's going to be a buzz around Augusta this week with Tiger being on the field, being on the grounds this week, and it's going to be exciting to see. But everyone else has got a game plan to do. They got to try and be the person that's going to slip on that green jacket on Sunday.
Welcome back into Studio 318 here in the Paul Miller Journalism Building. You're listening to the Border Battle with King and CJ on OSU Student Radio KXCY, Suddenly Channel 112. YouTube Live, Border Battle On Demand, Facebook.com/Border Battle Show. You hear there from Ricky Fowler and Jason Day. They're talking about, Jason Day mentions the buzz surrounding Tiger entering the Masters this week. It's kind of different this week surrounding in Augusta. And then Ricky Fowler says Tigers earned the attention, being one of the biggest stars and the biggest names. Masters, I believe, is getting the sport's most important player back for one of the sport's most important weekends. I think this is crucially important for the sport of golf, and I think these golfers are realizing it. Jason Day talks about, he says there's a buzz around, but these golfers still got to stick to their game plan heading into the weekend. Is that kind of the just coach speak that we're normally used to?
I think so. I think it's more of it's what you have to say, because at the same time they're human beings. I think everyone realizes that it's a part of this, or even the committee realizes that they're probably going to be a part of something special, because again, Tiger Woods is back. He's kind of showing he's there. He's finally back from surgery. And I was reading up that he kind of has this new mentality. It's not the whole, like back when Jack Nicklaus and Arnie Palmer were kind of going back and forth, and Jack Nicklaus was like the robo assassin, so to speak. That's how Tiger Woods used to be. That everyone was always afraid of Tiger because he was always he's throwing the the curse words, he's doing all that stuff, but. Now he's being nice. You see it right there with Phil Mickelson, that respect, and
this is after all a practice round.
It's practice round, right? But it's that sense of that personality is now coming out. Tiger Woods, he's 42, he's healthy again. I think it helps him have a different aspect of life, because he realized after that spinal surgery he may not play golf anymore.
Just so we're clear, the only Tiger Woods personality I care about is the Tiger Woods that is probably not safe for work. That's the Tiger Woods that I love. That's Tiger Woods that's won as many major championships that he's won and as many tournaments that he's won. That's the Tiger that I like to see on the golf course. That's the Tiger we better see this weekend.
That's because that's a Tiger you grew up with. We grew up with.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying that this new Tiger is better. This new Tiger he's got to get back to the fire that's in his stomach. That is, maybe people don't like it. Maybe you don't want your kids watching it, but that's the Tiger that's the most fun to watch.
Oh, I'm not saying you can't have that fire. I'm just saying that I think it's going to be a different Tiger. It's not going to be the old Tiger.
Chris, there is no one, in my opinion, I don't believe there is anyone who has ever had the greatness of Tiger Woods being friends with anyone. I don't think there's anyone. You have to dominate your competition. Why don't people like Floyd Mayweather? Because he's kind of a you-know-what to his opponents. There's a reason for that. It's because it's called being great. All right, we're going to hear from a couple other golfers talking about, Tiger Woods back here. Rory McIlroy talked yesterday about Tiger. He says he realizes Tiger will always have a shot at Augusta.
He's got a great chance. I mean, you look at how he's played the last few weeks. He's had 4 wins here. When was it? Was it 2010? He hadn't played in a few months, and this was his first start back and finished 4th. And, he's very comfortable around this golf course, and, his game is right there.
This is an interesting quote from him talking about Tiger Woods' game being there, because he mentions the 2010. We can pull up some of Tiger's recent Masters results. He obviously didn't perform in 16, 17, or 14, but you look, even with how bad the narrative was surrounding Tiger around 12, 13, even back to 10, like he said, 10 and 11 were also top 4 finishes for Tiger. He's finished the Masters pretty well. He's performed at Augusta really well. And like Rory says, he knows his way around the golf course. He's going to be able to navigate it this weekend, and you're going to have to be at the top of your game if you want to beat Tiger.
No, yeah. And the thing is, too, like you said, with him, having so much experience, especially at Augusta, at all these golf courses, he knows the layout of the land. He's played he's probably had a ball land in almost every section of that golf course, on the course. He wasn't one to hit him off very often, go kitty wampus, but he's going to know how to play how to play the course right. Whether he's struggling or not, he'll know how to manipulate it.
$5 to anyone who thought we would say kitty wampus in this show. Chris Notch, one of a kind over there sitting across from me.
Oh, you know it.
All right, we're going to hear from Justin Thomas. This is a good clip. I like this one. Justin Thomas says what everybody knows.
It's great for golf. It's great for him. I'm happy for him. I cherish the opportunity to potentially be going down the stretch with him to win a golf tournament, potentially a major. So, you know, who knows? I don't. All I've done is watch it and enjoyed it. You know, maybe I wouldn't enjoy it so much if I was on the other end.
I think this is, he says what everyone knows. One, this is good for golf. Here's something interesting he says. I cherish the opportunity to potentially be going down the stretch with him to win a golf tournament. And then he kind of says, well, I've watched that. Maybe I don't want that to actually happen. I think you got a point there, Justin. Is great. You know, he's the number 1 or 2 golfer in the world, number 2, I believe, in the world right now, Justin Thomas, right on the heels of Dustin Johnson. I don't know if you want Tiger wearing red and black coming down the fairway with you on 18. I think there is something there. It's different than watching it on TV, Mr. Thomas.
Right. Well, and we talked about, I think it was at the Valspar one where, and I forget who
Patrick
he was.
Reed.
Patrick Reed. You saw it happen right before your eyes. At Patrick Reed, he knew Tiger was behind him, and he struggled, and I think he bogeyed that hole,
I think he parred.
But he had a birdie.
Part or bogey.
He had a birdie he should have hit, and he missed. Like you said, you could just tell, even the way he was acting, like it's that mental thing. Tiger has that mental ability to totally ruin your day.
Absolutely no doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. So I think I love that clip because you could almost see it on his face, see the wheels in the head. Like, I cherish the opportunity. I would prefer if Tiger wasn't. Like, without saying it, he kind of said, I would prefer Tiger not be there. You know what I mean? Because he was like, maybe I wouldn't enjoy it so much if he was, put in that position.
Right.
All right, last one. We'll hear from Tiger himself. I think this is a classic Tiger soundbite. Towing the line he has always towed between humility and arrogance.
It was been a tough road. I've described a little bit of it. The pain of just sitting there and the amount of times that I've fallen because my leg didn't work, or just had to lay on the ground for extended periods of times. Those were some really dark times. The reason why I said I'm a walking miracle is that I don't know of anyone who's had a lower back fusion that can swing the club as fast as I can swing it. It's incredible. Some of the guys have said I need to fuse my back so I can hit it harder.
This is why I love Tiger Woods. This is why I love him. He's like, he starts it out, he's like, yeah, like I there's a lot of work to be done for me if I want to compete here, but I'm also a walking miracle because no one's ever swung a club as hard as I can swing a club after a spinal fusion. Like, there's still that little jab in there at the end, like, no one's done what I'm doing right now, which is fair. Like, to a certain extent, I understand what he's talking about. I think what he means by it is look, this is uncharted territory for anyone, and I get that. I think it comes off a little bit, and tell me if this comes off to you a little bit, like it could come off as a little bit arrogant, saying, no one's ever swung a club as hard as I can swing a club after having spinal fusion.
It's one of those under the radar arrogance. Like, he probably didn't mean to have the arrogance, but
no, exactly. I don't think he meant to.
Because you don't think he meant to have.
No, I don't think he meant it.
To me, it's more the fact of he can blame, like, because I don't know if anyone's ever had the spinal surgery and come back and potentially do what he's about to do. Like, he has that's why you can't fully say it's arrogance, because he has a fair point.
Is it true? Yes. But I'm just saying it could come off that way, can it not?
Oh, no, yeah. I honestly, for me, I could see it being the underlying, he wants to be arrogant, but he's going to blame it on this spinal thing of like, now, it's like, no one's ever done this because, no one's had the surgery that I've had, but yet I'm Tiger Woods. Like,
I wonder if this is Tiger planting that seed right now, planting the seed of doubt in every other golfer's mind, saying, you know what? What if you are the hole ahead of me on Sunday? What if I am chasing you? There's no one ever swinging a club with spinal fusion. You want to lose to a guy that just had spinal fusion surgery? The first ever guy to ever win a Masters with spinal fusion surgery? You want to lose to that guy? I think I don't know if he is. I think he's planting a seed of doubt in the other golfer's mind. All the great ones do it. The mind games before you see all the boxers and the MMA fighters do it. You got to somehow win that mental game before even stepping out to compete.
Well, that's what I say is the mental game of knowing, okay, he is driven. He says, oh, no one's ever hit the ball as far. Like, that's old Tiger. If, like, in your mental head, that's what you're going to be thinking all along. Like you said, if he's, a hole ahead of you and he's dominating, you're like, oh, this is the deal with Tiger. Like, you know, then you mentally starts creeping in of like, I can't hit as far as he does. You know, then you start, you know, then you overanalyze your own game to Tiger's game, which is what you should never do because every golfer is different and, you know, everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. But as soon as you start thinking like, oh, Tiger can, you know, hit 350, 375 yards off the tee shot, and I can only do 325, you know, it's that, like you said, it's that mental game. And Tiger's already shown he's still, you know, he's got that mental abilities to mess with your psyche even before it even starts.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Now, since the Masters starts tomorrow, and we won't be on till Friday, I'm going to give you a scenario here, Chris.
Oh.
You get Tiger Woods, Jordan Spieth, and Dustin Johnson, or the field. You get those group of three or the field. You get them together.
Oh, who do I think's gonna...
Tiger Woods, Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, or the field to win the Masters.
Oh, to win? Ooh, man. You know, I'm gonna go with the three.
All right. Why?
Because they're the three I think that have the best chance. Ricky, and I was gonna kind of bring this up a little bit with you being, you know, we're here at Oklahoma State and he is an alum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if Ricky was doing better, but the Houston Open, he struggled at the end. He just lost it. I don't know if there's someone else besides those three that could pull something out. Not to say Ricky can't, but just the issues Ricky's been having, you know, Matt, you know,
there's not anyone
like maybe Rory
McIlroy, Jason Day, the number 2 guy in the world, Justin Thomas.
Can I actually take Phil Mickelson?
You can take Phil by yourself. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. I gave you 3 good golfers. I think I would take the 3. I think Justin Thomas is going to have a chance. I think Rory will have a chance. I think Jason Day will have a chance. But I think if you have Tiger anywhere near close to himself, you have Jordan Spieth, who's won it twice, and you have Dustin Johnson, the number 1 player in the world. I think if anyone, I don't know if a betting site would give you that, but if they would, I think you would take the 3. Because I think you weigh the opportunity cost here. I think you had a better chance with those 3. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm biased. I'm not really sure. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Kevin Durant made his name in the headlines again, but it's with Charles Barkley? We'll tell you what Charles said and what we think about it next. KXCY.
What is arts and sciences?
We aren't all about the arts.
We like to think of ourselves as explorers.
From exploring the human mind
to discerning the building blocks of the universe.
We don't just read books.
We don't just sit in the classroom.
And we don't just solve problems.
We seek to give everyone a voice.
In a variety of approaches.
We tackle the big issues.
By understanding complex social structures.
And even understand the small ones.
We take passions to new heights.
But stay grounded.
We tell stories.
Of the past. Of the present.
And work to predict the future.
We like to think with a little preparation. Some dirt under the fingernails.
And some self-analysis. You can do anything.
With nearly 100 degree plans to choose from.
Where will your arts and science degree take you?
Connect, achieve, succeed.
To our neighbors and friends, we come to you today to let you know what's on our hearts. Because you're the reason what we do is so much more meaningful than a job. The reason we believe in the power of investing in tomorrow and the power of community. So this is simply thank you. As we step boldly into a time of growth and change, consider this our promise that every investment in our hospital is an investment in our communities.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Welcome back into Studio 318 here in the Paul Miller Journalism Building. KD just went one-on-one whenever he wanted last night. Scored a lot of points. Russ did too. Thunder lose to Kevin Durant, who is in the news a little bit. Charles Barkley saying Kevin Durant is a pain in the butt. I'm King, he's CJ. This is the Border Battle. We'll get to Charles Barkley in a second. I want to make sure you know that you can listen to us on KXCY OSU Student Radio. Listen to okstate.com. Facebook.com/Border Battle Show. You can find a link to our YouTube, which is Border Battle On Demand on YouTube. Otherwise, Suddenlink Channel 112 if you're in the Stillwater area. What do you think about this, Chris? Is it fair for Charles Barkley, of all people, to be calling Kevin Durant a pain in the butt?
No. Like, of all people to say that, it's the guy that was always the pain in the butt back when he was in the league. Charles
Takes one to know one. Takes one to know one.
I guess so, but like for Charles Barkley to say that, I think it's ridiculous, to be honest. I'm like, really?
That's ridiculous.
Like, yeah. No, but it is. Like, I don't know. It's like people change. You get, I don't know. I don't think he's becoming a pain in the butt. If anything, it shows he's realizing, he's out of OKC now. He's back. He's with Golden State. I wouldn't, say he's a pain in the butt and, Golden State's changed him. I wouldn't say it's that. I think it's like Kevin Durant said, that will to win now. You taste the championship, glory now for the first time. You want to keep going back to that, and I mean, have some of these tech fouls that he's gotten been a little like
that's such that's such player talk though.
I know, but
I got the taste of the championship and now I want more.
But I don't think it makes him like a pain in the butt. Just
I think.
What do you think about
Charles
Barkley's
Barkley has a point. He's changed. This is the earlier part in the interview when he was on ESPN's new Get Up show, which I think is an interesting tactic for ESPN to deploy. But we like when you turn on Suddenlink Channel 112 at 11 o'clock. We think we're the best morning sports talk show. We may be a little biased though. Anyway, here's what Barkley's full quote was. Well, Kevin is interesting because he used to be one of the nicest guys in the world. When he went to Golden State, he's trying to prove something to people, I think. He's a great player and a great guy, but it seems like when people turn against him, he lets it really affect him. So that's the bigger quote from Charles Barkley there. And I think he's got a point. First of all, we find out Kevin Durant has burner Twitter accounts to protect himself from fans that this guy has arguably the thinnest skin of any professional athlete I think I've ever heard. And yes, he is a pain in the butt. When you're the Golden State Warriors, I understand that it's the regular season and people don't care about the regular season and everyone's getting teed up. Everyone's doing it. All the cool kids are doing it. But when your team loses Steph Curry to injury, when Klay Thompson's banged up, when Draymond Green's got injuries and suspensions and tees to worry about of his own, and you are all of a sudden the worst disciplined player on the team, the past couple of months, I don't know if that's an argument. It seems like something just clicked in Kevin Durant to where now it's Draymond Green holding him back. Why are we, it's interesting to me that we're seeing that when everyone knows it should be the other way around. Draymond Green should be the bigger problem based on his history. And recently, it's been Kevin Durant. So I don't mind Charles Barkley saying this. Can you say, well, it's a little hypocritical of him to say it? I guess. But that's not Charles. Charles Barkley isn't a player anymore. So I don't know how hypocritical it is. Now, if Charles Barkley criticized people for calling him this back when he played, maybe it's a little hypocritical then. But I think he's got a point. And if you're going to say something true, I don't know if that's really being hypocritical.
I don't know. I just don't. It's the pain in the butt thing, I guess, which to me is like, okay, I get like he's showing more emotion, and yes, maybe this whole thing is finally like the pressure is finally getting to him, and I guess to your point with him getting teed up when Steph's injured, Clay's banged up, and Green, even Iguodala, Durant as being the leader of that team at that point with Curry out needs to be the one to realize like, hey, I got to be smart. I can't let my emotions get the best of me. But it seems like now if anything, Durant has turned into this, I'm going to wear my emotions on my sleeve. I'm not going to keep myself in check. Like instead of being this quiet person he was in OKC, it's like now, like you said, it's just weird in a sense. And I'm going to start sounding like I'm kind of on both sides here. But with like when he was with OKC, Russell Westbrook was the one that was kind of like that emotional charge. And then it was Draymond Green last year, like you said. And then now it's Draymond, pulling Durant back. But I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this, Chris. If you're Golden State, when he gets thrown out of a game, is that being a pain in the butt to your team?
It is if it's an unnecessary kick out.
Do you think that the Kings enjoyed Boogie Cousins getting thrown out of what seemed like every 5th game?
No, but with that, you can make an argument that the way Boogie was even getting treated, to me, that's like a two-way street, though.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. When you get kicked out of games, when you aren't available for your team, it's a pain in the butt. Do you think Golden State considered Draymond Green a pain in the butt when he decided that it was a good idea to get suspended in the finals?
Pain in the butt, but maybe. But at the same point, you got to look at, okay, as your emotional leader, is that something you almost? It's kind of like when you see coaches, that like in baseball, to protect their players, they'll get kicked out sometimes.
That's different.
Which is a different sport. I get that.
The manager is not playing the game of basketball. The coach is not playing the game. You can win without Steve Kerr on the bench. You struggle to win when Kevin Durant gets kicked out of games unnecessarily. That's a direct impact on the game, is it not? Yeah,
but again, to me, it's just depending on how he's getting kicked out. Because some of these texts have been, I get it. It's been across the league that some of these people are getting thrown out for reasons they should not be. And so, yes, is there sometimes where he's been barking and he shouldn't? Yeah. Is that like a pain? But you can't always blame every single tee on always Kevin Durant, you're just being a pain now because you keep getting teed up.
Well, if you're not available for your team, you're a pain in the butt for your team. That's the way I look at it. Because if I'm Draymond Green and I kept getting teed up, what did we hear from every Golden State Warrior player? Yes, he's our emotional leader, but he has to be able to keep in check. You need to be available to your team. What is more important? Kevin Durant sparking your team with an emotional play and getting kicked out because he's arguing or because he does something to another player or whatever. What's more important, that or having him on the court and his abilities? What's more important to your team? Steph Curry getting tossed out because he throws his mouth guard at an official earlier this year, or having Steph Curry on the team with his three-point shooting ability and his offensive, just the way he runs that offense? What's more important to the Golden State Warriors? The emotional play or the people being on the court? Because I think it's the players being on the court.
But so then would you be saying that you're not okay if they, every once in a while, let's say, have that emotional dispute, kind of like Curry did when he did throw the mouth guard?
Yes, but it's not a trend that developed, was it?
No, but that's what I was trying to ask, because that's where I was getting a little confused. What you were saying was, if you were saying all the time,
pick and choose your points, that's fine with me. But here, Kevin Durant is to the point where it's whenever he gets crossed, he's just set off and he's gone. It's to that point right now. Steph Curry, it's not a recurring theme for Steph Curry, is it?
Not that I know of.
It was a recurring theme for Boogie Cousins, for Draymond Green, and now it's starting to become one for Kevin Durant. And I don't think that's good for the Golden State Warriors.
You're right.
No response. All right.
Nope.
Anyways, we're gonna end it there, I guess. I guess we're heading out of here. So we will see you on Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have more of the Masters, some live score updates from the Masters. We'll get all of that kind of tidied up on Friday. Pick who we have going into the weekend as our favorites. For the great crew around here in CJ, I'm King. This is the Border Battle on OSU Student Radio KXCY.
What is arts and sciences?
We aren't all about the arts.
We like to think of ourselves as explorers.
From exploring the human mind
to discerning the building blocks of the universe.
We don't just read books.
We don't just sit in the classroom.
And we don't just solve problems. We seek to give everyone a voice.
In a variety of approaches.
We tackle the big issues.
By understanding complex social structures.
And even understand the small ones.
We take passions to new heights.
But stay grounded.
We tell stories.
Of the past. Of the present.
And work to predict the future.
We like to think with a little preparation. Some dirt under the fingernails.
And to